I am Fran, little brother, smallest of the three, and I'm going to give you a little run through of what we're doing tonight. So first, I'm going to give you the intro, and I'm going to tell you a little story about Mentor and me. And then after that, we have a couple of more speakers. We're here in the front row, these amazing people. So I think it's going to be Lisbeth first, then Mikael, then Bas, then Tim, but it might be the other way around. But that will be fine. But before we do that, I want to tell you guys a little story. So when I was 4 years old, Mentor and I used to share a room, and we had a big poster of the solar system on the wall. And I remember I would always ask him questions about what all these crazy images on the poster meant, and then Mentor would eagerly explain to me what it was. Then fast forward a couple of years, and I find myself in a hotel room in Croatia balancing books on my head. Because apparently, according to Mentor, that was going to make my posture better, which would make me more attractive to girls. I was like, that might have actually worked if after 5 minutes I wasn't already outside eating ice cream again. Because I like food, yes. I like sweet, sugary, sticky, unhealthy foods. And like anybody who has spent any time with Mentor knows, sugary food is bad. So every time I would be spooning my vanilla pudding with the chocolate sprinkles, I would earn myself a private mini lecture from Mentor, which thank you for that. And then many years later, after I somehow managed to pass through puberty and come out relatively decent, I decided I was going to bestow my knowledge and wisdom on the world. I was going to become a famous blogger. With my 1 whole year of experience, I was going to be a health and fitness blogger and happiness. And instead of shooting this idea down, Mentor gave me full support, which he always does. And not only would he give me support, he would also be very critical. He would compassionately tell me why some of my ideas were absolute shit. And then he would ask me a couple of questions, and together we would form new ideas that were hopefully a little less shit. And to this day, I'm immensely grateful for all the, well, first of all, Mentor. I always tell this to everybody. He's the most inspiring person in my life. Always has been. Maybe because he's my big brother, but also because he's a badass. And I am immensely grateful for all the knowledge, wisdom, and love that he has shared with me over the years. Thank you for that. And I hope that by writing this book, he can inspire people all around the world, just for a fraction of the way that he inspired me. Because at the end of the day, we all need a mentor. So thank you, and enjoy this amazing book lounge. Yes, you wanted to do the why and the how. Click. I think that's you.
All right, so first off, thank you all for coming. I was telling some people earlier that 37 people doesn't look like a lot when it's on a piece of paper, but it's quite a few people when you put them in one room. So thank you very much for coming. So first, context. Some of you know me very well, and others I've known for less than a couple months or even shorter. So the next few people are going to introduce some of the small pieces of background as to why I wrote a book in the first place. Starting with my other little brother, Mikael.
Immortal Millionaire. Millionaire sounds like something which involves finance. So I would like to tell you a funny story on how our investment journey actually began and how that roller coaster taught us to invest with balls of steel. So yeah, this scribble here represents the approximate emotional and mental states we've gone through in the process. To illustrate this, I would like to take you on a chronological but fairly high-speed journey by taking some quotes I found digging through one of our old-time WhatsApp groups called Bitcoin Bosses. On the 24th of January 2014, Mentor says, also, I put in a large number of BTC in Petamine. They'd better do good. On which Bram replies, haha, Mentor, you always go all in. Mentor, no, I got 2 Bitcoin behind to prevent any losses. Very smart, Mentor. 1 month later, Mentor continues, oh no, he decides to go buy extra Bitcoin with his credit card. Mid 2014, Marijn joins the group, asking for advice on how to spend his Bitcoin. Mentor first mentions Ethereum with the following very clear, comprehensive explanation. They say it's next level. Seems like a legit reason to invest, right? The 13th of June, Mr. Smith says, yes, what is Silk Road? On the 18th of June, Mentor finished university. Fuck yes. Now, to put this into perspective, with an age of 23, Mentor was the oldest and most knowledgeable guy in the entire group. Later that year, October 2014, I'd say we finally reached some sort of milestone with the following statement actually looking like somewhat a decent advice. Why are you buying into Peta? The project is dead, forget about it. Take your losses, walk away unless you want to incur more losses. Sounds good. 2 weeks later, when Mentor was a kid, he had to see the doctor because he put Smarties in his nose and could not get him out. Level dropped again. End of 2014, Marijn, BTC has confiscated all my savings, but who knows, maybe someday it will grow bigger. Side note, the price then was still 400 euros, to put it in a little perspective. Over the course of 2015 and 2016, Mentor starts dropping us articles with titles like Money, Master the Game, Manage Finances and Investments, and launches a crowdfund campaign for a pay-what-you-want VPN service, which I believe has around 5,000 users today. In 2016, the final quote I'd like to end the Bitcoin story with. Mentor, think big trend, not hype. If you are offered a shot of tequila in the morning, you think twice. Drunk at 2 a.m., and no matter what, you'll take it. Well, I'm not saying that it will rise further, but please do remember we are on an emotional high right now. We are drunk on the price increase and the party might never end. Summarizing this journey, we've walked along an entire investment emotional curve, managed to sit through market drops of over 95% and still uphold investment principles. Thank you, Ray Dalio. All hail mighty Vitalik. And above all, thank you, Mentor, for guiding us on this adventure so far. And I feel privileged to be able to call you my big brother. Thank you. And the next speaker should be Bas.
Hello, hello. Cool. All right, cool. So I'm here today to tell you something about meditations in a cave in Maastricht. Yeah, we were students back then, and if you tell people, ask people if they get excited about going down to a cave on supposedly illegal premises, in an environment where there is pretty much no light whatsoever, where there is no sound whatsoever, pretty much a shady sensory deprivation environment, just to go sit down, chilly, and breathe. Most people don't get excited. Mentor, on the other hand, was like, ooh, let's do that. That's cool. So that's how something started. And I'd like to emphasize one thing before the story, and that's that I got to understand that day when I went down that cave with Mentor that he has a unique combination of scientific rigor and relentless curiosity. And that curiosity is what got him really far. So my premise was simple. I just said, hey, go down this cave with me and you might learn how to control your body temperature and sleep for 3 hours a night. He was like, yep, sounds about right. I was like, who is this guy to go down a cave? And as soon as I got to know him, even that day a little bit, it turned out that he had some principles that he went behind. And he pretty much asked, what does this do to my body? What's the added value? And is this repeatable? And on top of his list seemed to be, might I learn something that's valuable? Does this add to my quality of life or efficiency? Does this likely enough not kill me? And is this cool? And most important, is this fun? And he went down that cave. So that was student time. But over the years, I got to know that Mentor, with every other part of his life, has that same rigor, but especially that same curiosity. And that's something I admire a lot in him. So I'd feel confident actually offering a course. I'm a part-time university teacher. I'd feel confident offering a course at a University of Applied Sciences called Mentor's Life. No kidding. So why? Like he takes everything he has in stock and makes you understand its value to you, and then make you reap the benefit a thousandfold. That's the experience I got. And that's why I'm so excited about this book. So thanks, Mentor, for letting me speak today, and tell everyone that you'll get everything in stock, and it'll make you understand its value to you and reap the benefits a thousandfold. So thank you in the name of a lot of people in the future, of going not just down that actual cave with me, but going down a lot of metaphorical caves afterwards, so that we all can reap the benefits. Thank you.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone. Okay, thank you. It's lovely seeing all your faces here and everyone that is watching live. Hopefully it's still working. I'm sure your face is lovely as well, and thank you for watching. So a couple of weeks ago, my friend Mentor here asked me, Lisbeth, can you say a few words about me at my book launch? As some of you may know Mentor, a few words to describe Mentor is quite impossible. So forgive me if I broach some particular subjects. If you want to know more, ask me at the drinks later, or better yet, read his new book, Immortal Millionaire. So when I first met Mentor, it was a couple of years ago, and we were both doing the same master's degree. It was a full-time master's degree. We hang out with friends. Every Thursday there was Pancake Thursday evening. And some of us, including myself, maybe had some side job there, but not Mentor. So Mentor also had a full-time job next to the full-time master. See, this is the thing about Mentor. He does something seemingly impossible and makes it possible, makes it reachable. So let's give you another example. Most of you probably in the new year will make New Year's resolutions. Want to lose some weight, eat less sugar, eat more healthy. I'll buy a Fitbit, I'll get a new scale, it's going to work, it's going to be great, I'm not going to eat that cake. A couple of weeks later, that cake's looking pretty good. Couple of months later, the cake is gone. Multiple cakes have been gone. And it's not a negative message, it's statistics. However, when Mentor sets a goal, he sticks to it. So, for instance, Mentor wants to go fasting. Why? Please read the book. And he tried with intermittent fasting and has been doing that for a while. Next to that, he also wanted to fast every 3 months or so for 5 days. So that means not eating for 5 days. Maybe some oil. I'm not too sure. Again, read the book. But then again, fasting for 5 days, us mere mortals, not immortal millionaires yet, think, nah, I'm not going to do that. Maybe tried once, fail, succeed, but nah, it's not going to work. He's been doing it for 2 years and has been intermittent fasting for over a decade. So he sticks to his goals where maybe others cannot. Another example. When we see a plane in the sky, we think, that's great, please stay in the sky. Better yet, when we're in a plane, we think, I want to stay in this plane. But Mentor is like, no, I want to jump out of it. I want to fly. So some of you may have skydived before, and you get strapped to this instructor. They basically push you out of the plane. I've done it myself, and it's an amazing experience. But Mentor, nah. I want to do it solo. I want to fly by myself. So Mentor was like, how can I make this a more cool experience than it already was or is? I'll invite friends so we can both have this experience together and in a warm country, because we do not want to do this in a cold country. So that's why last June I learned how to skydive solo as well. So after my first jump, when I first landed, when I was safely back on the ground, my first initial reaction is, thank God. It was an amazing experience, but it was really, really scary. A bit later, Mentor did his first jump as well, landed safely as well. He's still here, so that's good. And he has this huge grin on his face. And where I was like, that's the scariest thing I've ever done, he was like, that was the best thing ever. And he had this big smile on his face. Lisbeth, I've just flown. I've flown. So let's bring it all back here, back to this book launch. In little over a year, Mentor has written a book, has edited himself, published it by himself, correct me if I'm wrong, but created this book event by himself. Again, the seemingly impossible thing possible. And whether the book will be a success or not, I think it will, and I hope it will. Can we just give a big, grand applause for him actually achieving that? It's an amazing feat. So. So that ends my little talk. So, like I said, a few words is impossible, but maybe now a bit more possible. And I hope you will learn more about it in his book. And I wish you a great evening.
My life has been experiments, and I think like Tim indicated, when people walk into my house or see me doing what I would consider something in my natural habitat, they look at me a bit strange. Whether that's poking yourself with little needles to measure your blood, or drinking, who can guess? Someone surely knows. Matcha. Yes. This is matcha in one of my lab beakers. Kitchen is basically a lab, you know. So yeah, basically all of this is the context, the backdrop to why I wrote a book in the first place. I'd been blogging for a while, and people kept asking me the same questions, because when you show up at places with sunglasses or you hang upside down, I'd like to remark that we can't fit an inversion table in our current apartment, so we have a pull-up bar with gravity boots. They're basically these things you put around your ankles and you can hang upside down. There's a metal hook on it. I highly recommend. But as you can imagine, people ask questions and ask a lot of questions, and sometimes they're the same questions. So I figured after a while, let's just write this down. But I know myself, my attention span is not enough to write a book. I'm very good at focusing for a short period of time. I'm not good at working on something for a year or two. So I enlist the help of the internet. Particularly, I asked people to help me blackmail myself into writing a book, basically. So this email went out to my blog readers, also my family. I put it on Facebook. Basically, the question was, will you help me by checking up on me every Monday and see whether I wrote 7 updates on this book I'm trying to write? And I'll publish them to a place called GitHub. Who knows GitHub? Ha! I like you guys. So yeah, on GitHub you could track my actual progress, and people were every yeah, I'm not even gonna explain. And to my surprise, people actually were very excited to help. Oh, people were very excited to help. Some people I knew, like Miguel here. Some people I didn't. Like a lady called Sue, and unless I'm just forgetting a person called Sue, this is some grandmother somewhere who kept encouraging me every Monday with a quote. But it worked great. And the other side of this was I knew that if I wouldn't make my 7 updates, none of these people would shy away from shaming me publicly on social media, as I had requested. Which happened once because it was in a different time zone, and I think either of you started on Facebook, and I was like, no. These people have dirt on me. You can take this chair if you want, by the way. All right, so as to where I wrote this book. So I started in the Netherlands, but during the year / year and a half that I wrote this, it's been a ride. And the year started in Dubai during a sandbox retreat. A bunch of you here are sandboxers. Can I get a show of hands? Yeah. And basically, this was an exercise in trying to travel and relax and still make sure that you get 7 updates in every week. And I gotta say, I recommend this way of working. If you want to get something done, get people you respect to blackmail you into doing it. By the end, I was left with, and this, by the way, is a word count, the way that it looks like to a programmer. At the end, we're about 70,000 words, and with the amount of bullet points and headings I tend to use, this is about 300 pages were you to put it on A5. And then I was a bit stuck, because I actually hadn't thought ahead about what it would do when it was done. Because, I don't know about you, but if you think about something like writing a book, or building a company, or doing something, the end is a bit fuzzy, isn't it? You sort of have an idea in your mind of what being done feels like or looks like. But if you reach that point, you're sort of standing there, and it's kind of like I'm standing here now. Like an hour ago, this room was empty, and it still felt like this event was a day away. And at some point, you're just sort of there. So I figured I wasn't going to sit on it, and I was going to try and convince people it was worth reading. So the result was choosing a title that I, at first, did not feel comfortable with whatsoever. Basically, I grabbed 2 words that sounded relevant. Health. Immortality. Money. Millionaire. Stuck it together, and it sort of stuck. And it turns out people kind of liked it, so I went with. But in my mind, it was always a user's manual to the brain, the body, and to money. But I think people will be a bit confused if I call it this. One thing that's always fascinated me is when you play a game, right? How many gamers do we have here? I think I need to up my friend group. So when you play a game, often the first thing you do is the tutorial where they show you what to do. It's like, so if you press this button, this happens, and so on and so on. And then it's up to you to get better. But at least they tell you how shit works, right? No one ever told me how my brain worked. Yeah, sure, it's like neurons and stuff, right? But how do you learn? How do you get shit done? How do you focus? How do you motivate yourself? How do you make habits? How do you destroy habits? How is this not primary school? Or maybe high school. Body, same thing. I studied in university, mostly biology stuff. We know how weight loss works. We know how strength works. So why, like, how can Men's Health have a new magazine every month? They do, right? I haven't touched paper in a long time. But like, how is that possible? You'd think that after 1 year, after 12 issues, you'd be done, right? So I was a bit annoyed at all the fuzz. And money, like Mikael said, we sort of came into this not knowing anything. And the more we learned, the more we realized nobody knows anything. And there's just some people who know a little bit more how to deal with that. For example, the aforementioned Ray Dalio and Vitalik, our Lord and Savior. So the book was done, title was done, and design started. So I'm not a designer. I don't know how to make things pretty. I like to pretend that I do, but basically I just copy other people. What happened here is I use a service called 99 Designs. Does anyone know this? So if you want to get like some design stuff done, basically you tell the internet, this is what I want. This is the amount of money I can give you. And then designers make you stuff and you pick your favorite. And this is what came out. And I kind of like it. And actually, you guys, you have these little bags that were on your chairs, right? Don't open them now. but you're gonna have a bunch of stickers and merch and stuff to play with all these logos. How many of you have seen the trailer? Good. At least there's some people who have not yet. All right. So this was another thing. I'm a very big fan of a man called Tim Ferriss, who wrote The 4-Hour Body, The 4-Hour Workweek, The 4-Hour Chef, and then Tools of Titans. I'm not sure what happened there. And he had a trailer for his book, so I figured I need to get me a trailer. So I found this designer online called Vicasso, who turned out to be an Indian named Vikas. But we worked together, and the result is the following, and it lasts about a minute. So I will let you hopefully enjoy that.
What if you never had to work again? Could motivate yourself to do anything? Could live for 100 years? There are people who achieve extraordinary things, are in incredible physical and mental shape, build great wealth from scratch. They have something you don't. Their superpowers are knowledge, techniques, and habits. With the right tools, you can supercharge your brain and body and catapult into financial freedom. Achieve extraordinary things. Immortal Millionaire is a no-nonsense manual with only clear and actionable instructions based on cutting-edge information from business, science, and finance. Take control and start building the life you want.
That's a good reaction. I like that. Thank you. And thank you, Vikas. I know he's looking through the live stream. So yeah, the result was this book. And for the coming couple minutes, I'd like to sort of take you through some of the little bits that are in there. And those of you who know me better are going to see some things that you're quite familiar with. So the first section in the book, basically, it's separated into 3 sections. The first is on the mind, about your brain, basically. And contrary to what some of these speeches might lead you to believe, I'm human and I struggle with life. But I like to think that I know how to handle certain particular challenges, like creating and destroying habits, getting yourself motivated, getting things done, learning, and boosting that brain a little bit. On that last one, who knows these two? Ooh, one? Guess. There's these are some drugs. This man has seen Breaking Bad. This one right there, that's actually caffeine. And this one, if you would venture a guess, if the one is caffeine, the other one is likely theanine. We're living together right now. Score, yes. So there's these little things, these little hacks that once you find them out, they sort of become part of your life. And for me, this is one of them. So do any of you get nervous when you drink coffee? Caffeine? I'm not alone. That's good. We can suffer together. No, I really like coffee. I really enjoy it, but it makes me very nervous. The funny thing about caffeine is it doesn't actually give you energy. Do you know that? Do you know what caffeine does? It makes you tired. It doesn't. So basically what it does is it blocks your brain from feeling tiredness. But that as a side effect for some people means you get real nervous because your brain gets overstimulated at places where it's not used to that. This one over here is theanine. It's found a lot in, for example, matcha, hence me drinking the green goo on one of the previous slides. Basically what it does is it buffers the energy and nervousness part of caffeine and enhances it with a calm focus. So you take these two together, basically you got a golden combo. So I tend to work either with a double shot of espresso and then taking a dodgy looking white capsule of theanine, or I drink matcha. And actually that brings me to one of our sponsors for today, which is, you heard that in Joe Rogan's voice, didn't you? This is a company from a friend of mine from Portugal, and they make these little capsules with the perfect ratio of caffeine to theanine. And in your goodie bag, you will find a little bag of caffeine theanine capsules for you to play with. I, for one, would like to say I assure you it's all legit. And I've not heard anyone with adverse reactions except for the Red Bull sensitive. All right, so the second section of the book focuses on the body. And as you may have guessed, or as you know, I like optimizing my body. And the funny thing is that for most things, we know how the human body works, right? We know how to lose weight. We know how muscle gain works. We know how to get flexible. And we know some of what it takes to live longer. We don't know everything, definitely not. But we know a lot more than what the newspaper headlines would have you think. And basically what this section covers is the basics on each of these topics. And with basics, I don't mean it doesn't go into depth. I mean to say it's a couple pages, and once you read it, you know how it works. Who knows this one? Bam. It's always the brothers. Your body has a clock, right? That clock is greatly controlled by light. Someone is feeling the sunglasses coming. Did you know that when we change the time, like summertime, wintertime every year, when the clock goes back and we sleep 1 hour less, the day after there's a 20% increase in heart attacks? There's a particular type that this goes for. But this is not hidden knowledge or something. You can Google this. And when they change the time back, the reverse happens. Like there's a 20% decrease for one day in these cardiac events. Your body is really sensitive to this clock. And we somehow like to forget that or not think about it. So one of the things I like to do is wear these. These are blue light blocking glasses. I have switched from sunglasses because people think I'm on MDMA. As well. Basically, what these glasses do is they stop you from perceiving blue, because blue is the frequency at which your brain is most sensitive to disrupting your sleep cycle. In your goodie bag, you too will find a pair of blue light blocking glasses, so you can look ridiculous like me. And the last section of the book is about money. Particularly, we start with attitudes, because so the funny thing was, right? I didn't write this chapter initially on attitudes towards money, and one of the people here commented that when he was talking about money to some of his friends, a lot of them showed a lot of resistance. They didn't want to talk about it. Money felt dirty or wrong. Worrying or thinking about growing wealthy, that something felt icky. So that's what now the sections start with. Because I don't think money is icky at all. Yes, there are icky ways to make money, but people will do nasty stuff in any arena. One thing I'm very passionate about, financial independence, which we get to. Who knows what that means? One, smile. What is it? That you don't have to work anymore. Exactly. And the funny thing is, if you chart your course, you don't have to be 65 when you stop working, especially for the people in here who are reasonably well educated and are going to make well above the average. How to manage budgets that are fun, and that last bit, investing, where I would like to reassure you that we have grown our little investors group from riding the cowboy world of Bitcoin onto the traditional financial markets with a bit more smooth sailing. So one thing that I would like to quickly cover from this chapter is that math plus a little magic equals FU money. Bam. This man gets it. What is this? The FU money. Yeah. It's having a certain amount of money where if your boss messes with you, F you, I quit. Someone says, I really need you to do X job for me. Nah, I'm good, thanks. The FU money. I would like you, for a second, to think about the magical math of this. Do a little calculation in your mind. What amount of money would you need every month? so that effectively you wouldn't have to work. I'm not saying you would live lavishly, but what amount of money would you need to survive? Right? Rent, food, guesstimate how much that is. Times that by 12, or if you're lazy, just times it by 10. You can do the actual math later. That's the yearly income you need to survive. Now, without math for a second, think, how much money would you need to basically half that amount of money every year? Give me some numbers. Intuitively, what do you think? How much would you need? 18,000? Ah, but that's the income. How much money do you need to have in your bank account to never have to work again? Clever man here. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear it so that we can get some drama out of these people. So numbers. $1 million.
Immortal million.
Immortal million, yes. That's the only right answer. 2.4 million. 250K. That man has done more math. So here's the thing, right? A lot of people overestimate this amount. It's the idea that, I need millions in order to reach that point where I can say, screw you guys, I'm going home. I'm sorry I didn't do that in the Carmen voice. The fun thing is that based on historical projections, you can assume a 4% withdrawal rate every year of an invested portfolio, which means that by magical math, times the amount of yearly income you need by 25, and that's how much you need. You need 10K a year, you need 250K, and you would never need to work again. Right? At least this blew my mind when I learned it. And in the finance chapter, it goes into a bit more on how do you get there and how do you basically make sure you don't actually have to work. I would like to reassure you that, you can still work and do stuff. You just don't have to do stuff you don't like. All right, so that's a quick rundown of what happens in the book. For you guys to know, 1, there's a 50% launch discount for anyone who wants to get the book/bundle. The website will give you, the first time you visit it, an 8-hour window where you get even more discount. So if you get it this week, basically, you can get it for super cheap. And of course, I would appreciate it because then I can pay Vikas for his video. And you can find that on immortalmillionaire.com. Now, before we get to the end, does anyone have any questions about either anything that we've covered today or that you would just like to ask? What's next? December, I'm not going to do anything. So there's the thing, right? I thought last year I was not going to do anything. It turns out when I don't do anything, I accidentally write books. So next year, I'm going to not do anything. And by the end, I am going to have written a piece of software that I've been meaning to build for a long time. I will not pitch it in fully, but basically it's like Couchsurfing and Airbnb had a baby. Is it me in the picture? No, it's not. I wish. Actually, I don't wish. I like hiking, but that doesn't look like it would have been very comfortable. Plus, I disdain suits. I had a jacket today because I like it, but I like my mobility. Yeah, so in some weeks it was like an hour in a week, and in some weeks it was 50 hours. And there were times, like some things were just basically writing on paper what I've been thinking already. How do you get shit done? These kind of frameworks. A lot of you guys actually know a lot of these things, Eisenhower matrix, Parkinson's principle, etc. But then the longevity stuff, I was very lucky and cursed to have found out that one of my favorite researchers wrote a book right after I finished writing my longevity chapter. So I read the book and I had to basically rewrite and extend the whole thing. So yeah, actually someone asked this question right before as well, like how many hours it took to write this. Honestly, I have no idea. Though now that you say it, I can probably write a script to like look back and see how long it took. Well, actually, that of course is not very obvious. So, what would I do differently with a potential future book? I can't fully answer that question because, like Tim said, this is an experiment. And my hypothesis is that there's enough people in the world like me that people like reading this and that it's useful to them. But this entire book is basically written like a manual. It's bullet points, it's headings, and it's diagrams. And way at the end of every chapter, there's one heading that's basically my personal story below this. You can skip this. And that's my personal story because I don't like reading books where the chapter says how to do X. And then by the time I'm on page 3, they start getting to something interesting. So my hypothesis is that people like that. If that's true, then that's something you keep for next time. If anything, I would change operationally. Have more people around. It's very travel is nice and working on your own is nice, but sometimes you just need some humans to keep you sane. So yeah, probably that. Have I had a coquette again since that experiment? No, actually, I had been meaning to do my yearly overdose of coquette. This is a thing, actually. Especially for the Dutch people here. You know that feeling you get once you were a kid and you went to a swimming pool and then you smelled fries? The Dutch go like, the internationals like, the fuck are these people talking about? There's a childhood happiness there that once a year I relive through the overconsumption of coquette. The thing is that, I'm not the only crazy person doing 5-day fasts anymore. My brothers have joined me. But we noticed that after a couple times, after this fast, I figured like the best time to eat all the coquette, because I can fit 3 days worth of food in my mouth in about 2 hours. But as it turns out that after a while, last, I don't even remember how long ago this was. So basically for 3 months straight, we did, am I saying this right? Yeah, for 3 months straight, we did a 5-day fast every month. And after I just, some eye rolling going on there. But we noticed that basically afterwards, or at least I noticed, I've sort of lost my ability to have strong cravings. I sort of think I have them, and then I eat a little thing, and then they go away. So I haven't felt the need for the coquette. I'm kind of sad about that, because it's kind of fun to eat that bunch.
So you hear about all these crazy habits that you do, but if you were only able to choose 3 and eliminate all the rest, which ones would you?
If I was only allowed to keep 3 habits and eliminate the rest.
Yeah,
Top 3. Sleep at reasonably set times, particularly waking up. So things like I always knew I was sensitive to sleep, and it took me like 10 years to stop listening to people who told me that I shouldn't. I used to, I know I need 9 hours of sleep, I feel good. 8 hours, I can function. 7, I'm a zombie. And this laughter, right? This has been my life since I was in primary school, where, we would have a normal night's sleep of 8 hours, and I'm like, ugh, not today. And people look at me as like, dude, what are you? And after a while, I just realized, respect that from yourself. If you need that, take it. And if it makes you feel good, do that. So for me, sleep. 9 hours, I will feel good. Know that. And if you do less than 9 hours, have a nap, because naps are the best thing in the universe. So yeah, 1, sleep. 2, meditate. God, yes, meditation. Basically, meditation is like weightlifting for your brain. I'm not interested in music that goes, like those new agey things. It's not about being spiritual. It's literally about it's weightlifting for your brain. So yeah, respect your brain the way that you do your body. So meditation. And for me, the last one, food. So don't eat anything with a glycemic index that is higher than it needs to be. And for a whole explanation of glycemic index load and what that does to your blood sugar, I refer you to section 2. I think it's one of the free chapters, actually.
Yeah. Of course, this is a book launch, right? So you're probably looking to get to a bigger audience. How shall I pitch this to my friends and so forth without just saying, yeah, it's Timothy Ferris, but then mental? What makes a book special? What makes a book special?
I like that. What makes it so? I forget the exact quote, but Sam Harris in one of his podcasts sort of brought this up, where you don't need to be the best at something to be uniquely qualified at something. And how that translates to this book for me is, this is not the best book ever written. Definitely not. There's nothing in this book that you couldn't find on your own. Then again, there's nothing you can learn in university that you can't find on your own, and so on. This is a packaging that is for a particular kind of person. It is a buffet book where if you want to go in, find a particular thing you need at that time, and quickly read that and have comprehensive explanations of how that works, references on why that works, but being able to skip over those, that's what this is for. This is not for people who want to sort of like sit in a bath and enjoy a story. I love those books too, but not when it's about information. This is terse, this is dense.
Would you ask us to share it? Like, do you have an ask for the audience, perhaps?
The ask is basically if you know anyone who fits that bill, anyone who wants to get shit done, get their health in order, and get their money in order, and what they benefit from is specific information. You might have someone who pops in your brain right now. It's like, that person, totally. Tell them about it. There's 3 free chapters on the website. If you go to immortalmillionaire.com, you can sign up. It basically drips that into your email. And then if they like it, they can buy it. Anything else? Da, da, da. Terrific. All right, then thank you very much. And we're heading back to the other room. Don't forget your goodie bag. Thank you.
I could say a lot of things about Mentor, but I'd like to say that he is the weirdest, but also the best big brother in the world. And I said it during my speech, but it was not a joke. Ever since I was a little kid, he's been my big inspiration. And I hope he will always be that inspiration to me and to other people as well, obviously. So I want to say to the future reader that there's always hope. I used to be very unhealthy and overweight when I was younger. I was like 100 kilo when I was 15. A lot of gaming, a lot of unhealthy stuff. And I followed a lot of mentors' advice. I also didn't follow a lot of mentors' advice. But if you do take the advice that applies to you, there's a lot of hope and a lot of progress to be made. And if you stick with it, you will get results.
I would like to say to Mentor, dear Mentor, I am super happy I got to know you. I do remember that we've met a lot of times in the dinners. We never got to talk. And then I remember this event where we finally got to meet on the boat, 4 in the afternoon. I've had a whole working day. You were experimenting with a particular sleep rhythm and with a particular diet, and for breakfast you went off the boat and came back with a big jar of peanut butter, chicken wings and a spoon, and you just started eating the peanut butter. And ever since, I'm extremely happy to have you in my life. You inspire me tremendously. I'm very impressed with all the work that you do, how you go about it, and I think you enrich mine and everybody else's life. Yeah, so thanks for that. So to the future readers of The Immortal Millionaire, I would like to say that besides the content that I think is extremely interesting of the book, I think the way that Mentor processes all this information, the way he goes about analyzing it and presents it is very interesting. So for me, what is interesting about the book is learning about how Mentor structures things and learning how to learn and learning how he gathers information. And now it's about brains and money, but I think I could also apply it to a lot of other areas in my life, which is what I will do. Yeah.
Well, first of all, Mentor, congratulations on this big step. It's such an honor for us to be here to really listen to your story, but now also have the opportunity to have it in a book. And that's not just for us, it's for the entire world out there. So if you're excited about experimenting and really having something that's tangible and that can be applied on a daily basis, I highly recommend getting this book, going through the chapters and just picking out a thing that you can implement in your life starting today.